Okay, this is the part that is extra, just rehearsal-y. We're going to kind of walk through the syllabus. I'm not going to read it aloud to you because I understand all of you can read. It is a survey course. We are gonna sort of move from one genre to the next. It is a sampling of books that fall outside the realm of literary fiction, including sci-fi, horror, fantasy, romance, and detective fiction. There are genres and subgenres that we won't be reading for various reasons, mostly just by mostly constraints of time. Two that I do want to sort of tag, because they seem a little more egregious as omissions, are we will not specifically be reading something that is YA, because my sense at the outset was that YA is not a genre so much as it is a target audience. That's going to be, I think, an open discussion throughout the semester, where we put YA, whether we want to consider it a genre or something else. Certainly it is something that contains genres. Anyway, that's an open question. We are also not doing comics. We are not doing graphic literature, because that is a medium and not a genre, and I can put a hard line on that. And if you can see the books behind me, I'm coming from a fairly informed place. I did consider doing superheroes as a genre because I think that at this point it could be considered a genre, but there wasn't a text that I was really happy with, so we skipped that. I would have ended up teaching my own book and then felt like a jerk face. This class is tagged as a lit class. It is also going to have a creative writing component. We will sort of be developing how that is going to work, but it's mostly, class by class, that's going to come out in how our discussions go. So we will be looking at what is going on within the book, but we'll also be kind of pulling back the curtain and saying, like, what is the author doing, and why is the author doing that? Or frankly, how did the author do that? A lot of learning to read as a writer is learning to understand mechanics of plot, and there are different mechanics of plot that are going to function in all of these genres, and we want to be aware of them. Work-wise, there's going to be reflection papers on the readings. Those are going to be very brief, like page and a half. And those are really just to focus your reading and to give you a chance to sort of, to reflect. Hence, it's called a reflection paper. There's also going to be one class presentation, and those are going to be, you guys are going to record those in any way you want. We will have conversations down the line about what that will look like. You're going to choose a canonical author from the list that's in the syllabus, or if you want to propose somebody else, I'm open to that. I may say no, because I'm drunk with power. That's not true. So the course objectives, by the end of this course, this is the part I will read. Students should be it's a good thing that I'm reading it because I'm noticing my typos. Should have developed the ability to engage various genre text as both a critic and a writer, an understanding of contemporary movements in genre fiction and how they respond and react to what's come before. We can call that the tradition, we can call that the canon, we can just call that what's come before. And the ability to analyze the borders of specific genres and generate creative work that operates within them or consciously pushes against them. You have there the book list. All those books should be available at the campus bookstore. They're all available at Buffalo Street Books in Ithaca. If you get them through Buffalo Street with a little bit of lead time, I can bring the books up to you. They're also all on e-reserve or e-reserve at the Wells Library. The books that are published by Tor, for some reason they couldn't get the ebooks, so they will scan them for you. That is the plan. It's a lot of books. It's not quite a book a week, but it's close. Most of them are really short. Most of them are well under 200 pages, or they're split across 2 weeks. There's the grading rubric. We'll be using Moodle for lots of stuff. There's sort of boilerplate stuff about professionalism, but the dog. The thing that I want to mention about professionalism is particularly about communication. The best way to get a hold of me is to email me. Keep in mind that I'm going to check my Wells email probably like once a day. So don't email me with something that needs a reaction 5 minutes later, and don't feel slighted if I don't get you a reaction 5 minutes later. Assignments. Like I said, it's a reading intensive class. There are short reflection papers and a big final project and a fairly large presentation. I do expect that you will come to class having done the reading. It's going to show if you haven't. We're in small groups. We're small classes, and we will break into smaller groups, and you are not going to be of use to anybody if you haven't done the reading. That said, if you're having trouble, if you're falling behind, get in touch with me. I will work with you individually to make sure that you get through this class. We will find a way. The presentation, there's the list of authors for the presentation. It's going to be an 8 to 12 minute recorded presentation. Overview, biography, some critical responses, and their sort of impact on the genre. We're going to meet with the Wells librarian, whose name escapes me. She's going to come visit the class, I think, the third week, so well before you get started on the project, to talk about what resources are available, and you will each meet with me individually to discuss. But one of the things that you do want to do I might bump this back a week, fairly soon, is come up with a list of your top 3 choices for a canonical author to report out on. Final project. Final project is going to be one of 2 things. It can be a critical paper, an essay of anywhere like in the 7 to 10 page range, about a text or text by canonical authors, and how the influence of that text is reflected in the work of contemporary authors. You can use assigned texts from the course for this. You can use your presentation author. So like if you're really savvy and you pick a canonical author that matches up with one of our assigned authors, that's great. Obviously the one that you won't be able to do that with is Lovecraft and Laval, because we'll be doing that sort of in class. So that would be cheating. Your other option is to do a creative piece. Again, 7 to 10 pages, so a short work. This can be complete or a chapter, and it needs to be identifiably within a genre, and I need a short preface on how the work relates to its genre. Attendance. Show up. Find a way to show up. We do not have a sort of punitive attendance policy, but the classes are going to be mostly discussion. The lectures will be online. You will be missing out if you are not in class. Policy on camera, it's written right there. I don't need you to be on camera if you're not comfortable with it. And in general, we'll sort of get to accommodations. Like, we will find a way to make all this work. Nobody knows what's going on. Everything is crazy. We will find a way to make this work that works for you as students. And ideally for me as the instructor, but that is sort of the less important of the two. Late work. Assignments will lose a letter grade if they are late. And they are due when they are due, which means they are due at the beginning of class. Whether or not you are in class, you should be able to submit them via Moodle. If you need more time, contact me well in advance. Do not tell me the night before that a paper is going to be late. Honor code and incomplete grades, that's all sort of boilerplate stuff. You can read through that. Accommodations, again, mostly boilerplate, and the contact list is right there. I will do whatever I can to make the class fully accessible to you, for whatever reason. But you need to let me know. So communicate with me, and I will make things work. You do not have to tell me why you need an accommodation. Just tell me what you need, and we'll find a way to make it work. Okay, great. Let's run through the schedule fairly quickly. And this is tentative. This is based on the college's current plans, which state that we will, that everything is going to be up and functioning and great. The plan is that I will record the lectures online. They'll generally be between half an hour and an hour of lectures. I will try to keep them, the units of them, short, so you're not actually just having to sit there and look at my stupid face on your screen for 45 straight minutes. But you are expected to watch those before class, and that is part of instruction time, so that is part of the sort of 2.5 hours that we will meet every week. So we will meet at the scheduled time, and most of that time will be dedicated to discussion. After Thanksgiving break, we will go online. I think we have 2 meetings after that, and those will both be through Microsoft Teams, which I will totally have learned to use by then. All right, so the syllabus today, obviously, we're just going to discuss a little bit. We're going to do a syllabus. We're doing the things that we are currently doing. Your homework from here, get your books. Find a way to get your books. If you have any kind of trouble getting the books, let me know. Some of them I may even have access to, like, PDFs of through Science Fiction Writers of America. So let me know if you're having trouble getting them for any reason. Most importantly, I want you guys to get and have read Every Heart a Doorway by Sean Maguire. Is it on my shelf? Where did it go? Which seems to have gone missing from my shelf. But it's a short book. It's great. I think you'll really like it. Have it read, and have your reflection paper turned in before class the following week. So week 2, we're gonna start out talking about YA and children's literature, and we're going to do that using Sean Maguire's Every Heart a Doorway, which is not itself children's literature, but is engaged in many of the traditions of children's literature. Week 3, we'll have our library tutorial with the Wells librarian. She's going to come in for probably about an hour. She will be physically in the space with us. Crazy. And we'll start discussing Charlie Jane Anders' All the Birds in the Sky. We're going to do that across 2 weeks because it's a longer book, and we're going to talk about it mostly as a fantasy book, although you could make arguments that it is a different kind of book. We're going to, from there, start on horror, which is, oddly enough, is going to be a 3-week unit, and that it just worked out that way. The first book that we will discuss in week 5 is The Ballad of Black Tom by Victor LaValle, and we will be discussing that in relation to a super racist story by H.P. Lovecraft, which I will put up on the Moodle. I would kind of encourage you to read, but I will also probably summarize it for you because it is, whoa, it's super racist. And LaValle is doing things with it that I think are fantastic and really interesting. For weeks 6 and 7, we are going to be discussing Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which I will admit I have not read, and I am really excited to read. And we're going to be talking about it in terms of the sort of tradition of the Gothic. And so I'm working on a longish lecture about what that means, other than, like, arches. It also, incidentally, means arches. So that will get us up to week 8. For week 8, we are going to read My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyunkan Braithwaite, which is a really, really fun novel that I think, again, it's a shortish novel, and I think you guys are really going to like it. It's fun if you guys know or were unfortunate enough to watch the movie, the TV show Dexter. This is like that Dexter if it was good. Following that, we're gonna discuss the movie Brick by Rian Johnson. Rian Johnson is the guy who directed The Last Jedi. Brick is his second. I think it's his second movie. It's from 2005. It's a great, weird little, like, modern noir. And I went back and forth between that and Knives Out, but I really like Brick, so that's what we're gonna watch. That will be week 9. Week 10, we're going to discuss romance, which is a genre I'm not super familiar with, and I'm really excited about it. And we're going to be reading a book called The Right Swipe by Alicia Ray, which I have also not read, and I'm really looking forward to. I've been sort of reading other romance novels, so I have a little context, but Alicia's fantastic. and I'm really excited about reading her books. It's weird when you sort of know someone who writes books and you haven't read their books, so I'm going to correct that as part of the semester. That takes us to week 11, Dystopia, which is going to seem very familiar. We got 2 movies in a row at that point. Dystopia, we are going to be talking about Children of Men by Alphonse Cuarón, based on a novel by P.D. James, which we do not have to read, because I'm told the novel is not very good, but the movie's fantastic. Week 12, we're going to sort of do a weird switch of things. I wanted to do 2 weeks of Dystopia in a row as tribute to doing 2 years of Dystopia in a row in real life, but I'm bumping 1 week of Dystopia back for reasons that I'll go into in just a minute. So we're gonna read Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang. It's a short story. It's maybe 40 pages, and we're gonna watch Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. Story of Your Life is one of those short stories that if you had asked somebody, they would say this is an unfilmable short story, and then Denis Villeneuve found a way to film it. It's a really good movie. It's a really good short story. I think you'll really like it. By the way, I still have to figure out how to get films to you in a way that is at least quasi-legal, and we'll figure that out. So week 12, space, we'll discuss Villeneuve. Then we'll have Thanksgiving break, so we won't see each other in the real world. Beyond that, week 14, we'll go back to Dystopia, and we'll be discussing A Song for a New Day by Sarah Pinsker, which won the Nebula this year. Yes. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it won the Nebula. It might have won the Hugo. Anyway, it's fantastic. It's really creepy that it came out last year and then it happened this year. And what I'm really excited about is that Sarah is going to be joining us in class and for reading at Wells, which is why we bumped it back that week. Because I thought since she will be joining us virtually, that would be a good time to do a virtual class. Sarah is a multiple Nebula award-winning author, and she's just great. I'm glad you guys are going to get a chance to talk to her. And for the last week, I have it just labeled as Infinity and Beyond. It is going to be sort of my attempt to do African futurism. We are going to be reading Binti by Nadia Korafor, which is a great, very short sort of space opera book. We are going to watch Dirty Computer, Emotional Picture by Janelle Monáe and various directors. And we will probably read or discuss a couple poems by Eve Ewing and a couple poems or songs by Sun Ra. So that will be fun, and I am in no way qualified to teach African futurism, but it's an important thing. It's an important aspect of science fiction and fantasy, and I think it's something that really warrants discussion on its own. And then you'll have some time to do your final projects, and we will scaffold in time to discuss the final projects with me and with small groups throughout the semester. That's the syllabus. If you have questions about it and you're not in the room with me right now, which I'm guessing you're not if you're watching me on screen, email me and we can actually find time to talk through this or through office hours. I'm going to be on campus Wednesdays and Thursdays for the most part, but I am generally available to meet by appointment during the day, during the week. All right, that is it for these lecture videos. Oh no, I'm going to do one more short one where I just go through the list. So that's going to be the list of presentation authors and give you a little who they are kind of thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to end this, do that. See you in a bit.